What can I do? What can I do? I guess there's nothing I can. All right, you're gonna have to lay right here. Okay. Um, Now I don't have my notes. Let me see. Okay, Dr. Willis.
Yes.
The purpose of the Ethiopian Bible is to preserve the story about the Ethiopian Jews. That is the purpose. I did the contextual exegesis, which means that I wanted to go back to the historical context. And the text was written about, I believe, 15, if I'm remembering correctly, because I don't have my notes now, I did something stupid. But anyway, before the birth of Jesus Christ, about 1,500 years before Jesus Christ was born, there was a thing called the Maccabean Revolt. The Maccabean Revolt was a battle between the Jews in that area, which we call Israel now, and the Greeks. Alexander the Great came first, and then the other Greeks came, and their intention was to, they called it Hellenization. You've heard that term before. Hellenization. Now, I've sat in many a history class and church history classes trying to define Hellenization. I get stuck on the first four letters. I really do. Because when I look at the results, it does appear that it was an attempt to create hell on earth for anybody who was a non-Greek, especially the Jews in that area. The major point that I want to make this morning with the outline is that those Jews were non-white Jews. Now, I'm being very political with that term, non-white, because we find in scholarship that people don't want to say black, but they will say non-white, as if that's a concession. But non-white to me means black. If you got some melanin, you one of us. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not going. And the reality is that even white folks have melanin. So everybody has melanin. So everybody one of us on a larger, more utopian concept, but the reality is that we have some groups that are determined to divide. They were determined to divide and exterminate in 175 BC, and they're still determined to divide and exterminate. They have not changed. Isn't that incredible? I mean, that's incredible that consistently for 2,000 years, one group has intentionally divided and tried to exterminate and steal land and steal culture and steal identity consistently every continent they go on. I find that incredible. What I find even more incredible is that they're still doing it today, right now.
Absolutely.
Venezuela, Iceland, we talking about Cuba now, America, ICE. Anyway, and so my point is, everything has changed and nothing has changed. But the key point I want to make this morning is that the reason why we have this, the reason why I'm fired up about this is because I know the purpose. And I know that these people on the internet are just trying to make some cash. But they ain't concerned about the purpose. And the purpose and the story that we are looking at here is that there is a story of this book, Jubilees, we're talking about. I was trying to exegete the book of Jubilees, first chapter, 25th verse. This story is written by a Jewish priest. Now, the scholars won't say an Ethiopian Jewish priest, but they'll say a Jewish priest. I'm beginning to wonder who the Jews really are. I really am. Seems like no matter what I read, they're somewhere in the mix. No matter how far back I go, they're somewhere in the mix. But I'm making the point this morning that we're talking about non-white, non-European Jews who had a tradition, a culture, a story, a language, a word long before they were colonized by the Greeks and the Europeans and everybody else. Now, the scholars would have us to believe that during that time, there was no concept of race. I ain't buying it. One of the reasons why I'm not buying it, because I know for a fact that Spain and England and Belgium and all those countries were run by Moors. Guess who the Moors are?
Exactly who they are.
And we never hear about that. We never hear about the Moorish kings or the queens unless we do some study. And there seems to be some backlash. And so all of this coming to head, there is a story that is not being told about the Ethiopian and or the black Jew. There's another part to this story. There are Jews all over the world. There are Jewish communities. There are non-white Jewish communities all over the world. Caribbean, America, black Jews. I talk about some of that on those notes. I probably should just follow my notes. Maybe I'll do that.